Welcome to Astrology Avenue 2024 Aries Eclipse. That's right, this is the solar eclipse talk for Aries, April 8th, Eclipse 2024. Now, when the eclipse happens, it's two types of eclipses. There's a lunar and a solar. We are now talking about the solar eclipse. The lunar eclipse has happened today, actually on the 25th, and the solar eclipse is happening on April 8th. Now, what is an eclipse? Well, let's talk about it. An eclipse is when the moon and the earth and the sun line up. It's like a great reset. Specifically, like if you're looking right now, see how the moon was directly in front of, or in between, the sun and the earth? That is when an eclipse happens. You can see it in space. And that is a solar eclipse, is when the moon is directly in between the earth and the sun. The lunar eclipse is when the earth is in between the sun and the moon. Now this happens all the time. And this is the clock of destiny. This is the clock of our earth. This is our biorhythm. When we think moon, we should think reset as far as eclipse. I mean, it's a 12 o'clock reset is the solar eclipse. That's what you're looking at. The 12 o'clock reset. That thing in the air. We know what that is. We're going to observe it. It's going to look beautiful. But really, what does it do? Well, lunar eclipse is different from a solar eclipse. A lunar eclipse is primarily, that is the full moon eclipse. The solar eclipse is the new moon eclipse. We take time to look at it. We make devices. You see the clock go around, and as it goes around, there are new moons and full moons. We are observing the eclipse. That's when the vibe is right. You see, at that eclipse, there are certain vibes. There's a field, an aura that we have to pay attention to. It's something that you have to see and feel, because this whole thing is frequency, pitch, and tone. So as we're looking at the frequency, the pitch, and the tone, and the vibes change on our planet, this is what is happening. And we are talking about the eclipse. The sun. Everybody knows that the moon pulls on the water, but did you know that the sun also pulls on water? About half the strength of the moon. So together, it's like taking 100 up to 150%. That's really what happens. So, what are we doing? What are we doing with this? What's going to happen on this eclipse? Well, this eclipse is very special. It is the first Aries eclipse of the age of Aquarius. And we are going to delve into the zodiac to find out what it's like. I mean, there's a lot of moons on all of our planets, but we're not talking about that one. In our traveling solar system as it hits around, we're talking about this one. Why is it so important? Well, it's interesting. In 1811 is the last time this eclipse happened. I mean, 1811 was a lot going on. When this happened in 1811, there were earthquakes. I mean, the Mississippi River ran backwards. I'm just speaking in America. And the Tecumseh's War. There was so much. Oh, look at that right there. That is an example of what the lunar eclipse does to the earth. Like, you can see these things. You can see the pull on the water. But anyway, let's get back to what happened in 1811 when this eclipse happened. It was a lot going on. There were natural disasters. It actually spawned the War of 1812. And when you're looking at this cycle, this thing, and you know that this thing pulls on the water in your body, just like it pulls on the water on the earth. This pulls on the blood of your body, just like it pulls on the blood of the earth. This is why people get heightened in the eclipse. This is why people feel certain sensations when this happens, because that eclipse is like, I don't know, have you ever heard of Jesus walking on water? If you put the eclipse over the ocean, it's the exact image that you might get. I mean, Jesus is the sun, and the sun walks on water. I mean, these are all relative things. I mean, you have to understand the symbolism that comes out of the eclipse. What is that up there? What is that glowing eye up there. I mean, look at it in many different angles. Futuristic angles. Look at the alignment that happens. Look at what's happening to us. I mean, this is April 8th. And are you aware of the alignment? Let's go into it. I mean, I'm going all over the place with this. But I mean, the chart speaks for itself. All the planets in one location. Like in 1811, the amount of things that happened were incredible. I mean, this eclipse happened. Thomas Jefferson goes outside to set his watch according to the eclipse so that he can make sure that he's on the right time and location. You can look this up. This is interesting. Why go out and reset during the reset? I guess it is very important. And the things that have happened during these moments, I mean, from the earthquakes to Tecumseh's War to the, what was that? The rivers of Mississippi running backwards. So many things happening during the war. The lights coming out of the ground, tar balls, there was warm water spitting. The earth was actually sounding off and there was a smog. This eclipse was everywhere. Look at it. We've got the sun. We've got the moon gathering together in Aries. And if you're looking at the path of the eclipse, check it out. Between that eclipse and the last eclipse we had, there was an X form. You can look at the ley lines and actually see how the eclipse connects to the ley lines. You have Venus, the moon, the sun, the Chiron, the North Node, and Mercury, all within the same area during this eclipse. All of the planets are in one location. There's nothing on the opposite side. This is a true reset. This is like all the clocks of the wheels lining up in one area. It's like 12 o'clock all over again. Look at the path of the eclipse and notice how it goes through the states. This one's going to go right over America. As you can see, it takes the same path that looks like the ley lines. This is interesting. This is a world happening too. There's not many people that are going to be able to understand, maybe not even be aware, but whether your earth is flat or round, you're going to have an eclipse. This eclipse is here. This eclipse has been here. We're going to experience it no matter what shape you think this planet is in. I mean, let the good times roll. Let the atom begin. Let everything happen. Because we've been waiting for this, right? This is the moment. This is like almost interesting. The things that are going on around the world are amazing. There's boats crashing into bridges. There are so many things happening. There's invasions. In 1811, did you know that there was a population problem where foreigners were invading the land? And Tecumseh and his... You have to look it up. But it's all a part of history. It's all a part of the eclipse. When are you going to reset is the question. When are you going to reset like the clock of the eclipse? When are you going to take the time and actually reset yourself? And are you going to reset yourself? Are you going to be around on April 8th? Are you going to notice what happens in the air? Are you going to go along with the vibes of the world and the entire planet? Are you going to move along with the eclipse? We don't know. But you will find out on April 8th everything that tends to happen. Let's go on. On the 25th, there is an event. 7 days later, another event. 7 days later, that's April 8th. This is how it works. This is how the zodiac works. That symbolism is in the air. That symbolism is for you. Our ancients tracked and monitored the eclipse. They looked at the symbolism. They saw what was happening in the sky. They looked up there and saw some very interesting things. One of their questions was, what is that? And what symbolism derived from the eclipse? And do we recognize the symbolism that derives from the eclipse? That all-seeing eye up there that resets at 12? How many different images of the world were used to represent the eclipse? If you look up and notice that 12 o'clock, that alignment, that all-seeing eye, those three bodies lining up. There are many symbols that represent the same thing, that represent the clock and the eye in the sky, that represents the time and space in which we move upon. And I guess you can say we've pulled out many symbols from that eclipse. There are many things out there as we travel our universe and our solar system, looking out there upon space and understanding that there is a reset. There is a great reset. And on our planet, our reset is the eclipse. We've traveled all over the stars. You've been here before. Everything that happens, but you have a biorhythm. The Earth has a biorhythm. All the planets have a biorhythm. And this biorhythm is like a clock. This clock is for you. This reset is yours. Look at the images. Look at the things that we see. Look at the things that we've created. Look at all of the symbolism out there and understand that this eclipse is your reset. This eclipse is for you. This eclipse is for the entire planet. Looking at what it is and how that fire burns in the sky, looking at the great eye in the sky and all the symbolism that it's brought. From Father to Son to Holy Spirit to the actual eye itself, to the physical eye, to the all-seeing eye, to the evil eye. Have you seen it before? Or are you looking back? Are you looking at that eclipse? Are you noticing the differences? Are you noticing the realities? Are you seeing yourself? Are you seeing your third eye? Are you seeing any eye? Do you know where it comes from now? Do you know what it's for? Are you ready to reset along with the universe, along with the world? Are you ready for the happenings? Look up 1812. Look up 1811. Look up the chart. Look at Taurus, Aries, and Pisces.